What have you observed as the main theme so far during this IGF?
Well, there are some of the themes that have been with us since the beginning, but there are other themes that have evolved during the years. There are obviously themes related to the technology, and with that there are issues such as the security of the internet, cybersecurity, privacy issues that have been with the IGF since the beginning, but they have grown much stronger. Human rights have come to the fore as a major theme in recent years, and since 2013 we discussed a lot about surveillance, privacy rights of internet users, and some of the themes that have really emerged this year is Internet of Things, for instance. And we also have more young people coming to the IGF, and that's a good thing. We want to hear what the digital natives have to say, and I noticed they have maybe sometimes different concern. One theme that comes up strongly this year is fake news, and young people seem to be concerned also about cyberbullying. But let's wait till the end of the week and then we have a clearer overview.
How can more governments get involved in the IGF?
Well, to get started, I mean, governments are here. It's not so that they're not present, but it's also, the IGF is a very open forum, so obviously the open doors allow civil society and other actors to come in, and again, that is a very positive thing. But I do hear the concern that maybe not as many governments are here as they could be. Governments can learn from interacting with other stakeholders, and definitely we would welcome more governments to be present. What can be done? I think there is quite often among governments the feeling they have no takeaway. They don't get something they can take home. So we have collectively worked towards improving the takeaways from the IGF, but obviously all these issues are very new, and much of the learning is done also in processes, in networking, and it's not a concrete resolution, law, whatever you can take home and say, look, I got something. But many governments are not used to this kind of meeting, networking, and all we can do is to promote them to come here where they can network, can learn from others, and can go home and implement what they learned here.
You were in the process since early days. How do you see evolution of the IGF?
Well, it's quite remarkable. To begin with, it was very new. People were nervous. They did not know how to interact. Governments were not used to be put on a bench as equals, so to speak. In traditional settings, governments always come first. Here, they're one stakeholder among others. So for the governments, this was actually quite a tough learning process. But also for civil society, they're also not used to speak to governments as equals. They're used to lobbying, sometimes to shouting, but when you're in the same room with the same rights, you cannot shout if you want to be heard. You have to speak in a responsible way. But I think when I said to begin with, people were nervous, didn't know how to interact. Gradually over the years they have overcome this, and they are very comfortable interacting with each other, and when you go around the meeting you feel that there's no tension. People are happy to sit down at the table without knowing where the other is coming from, and are open and listen to each other. So that is remarkable in itself, to have found such an atmosphere. And again, the IGF has been accused by many as being just a talking shop, and this is also one of the reasons why maybe some governments don't come here, because they feel it's not serious enough, it's not something where we negotiate. But this is precisely the strength of the IGF, the absence of pressure to negotiate an outcome allows people to speak freely and also think a little bit outside the box, do some brainstorming, and then go home. You can go home and actually try and implement what you learned. And over the years, and over the past few years now, we have also developed more intersessional activities. We have the best practice forums, which are not just a meeting at the meeting itself, but there are processes that lead to a meeting that will produce a report, and that it provides, I think, quite a useful takeaway for people who want something to take home from the meeting. So there is an evolution clearly, but the IGF remains true to itself. It remains above all a platform for dialogue where people can exchange experiences, can share practices and learn from each other and do some networking. So it has been a positive evolution, but it's not over yet. There are 10 more years to come, and we will see how it will evolve.
Thank you, Joe, for answering my question.
Pleasure.